Part 1. The Scar That Spoke of Battle. Aaron sat quietly near the observation window of the great ship that drifted toward the alien world. Stars stretched like silver dust across the dark sea of space. He had traveled through many sectors before, but this journey felt different. His hand rested lightly on his chest, where the scar ran across his skin, hidden beneath the fabric of his uniform. It was more than a mark. It was a memory that never faded. The scar carried the story of a battle that shaped him and shaped humanity itself. Years ago, Aaron had fought in the first war against a hostile alien race. Humanity had been new to the stars, unprepared for the scale of the conflict. The enemy had ships larger and faster than anything humans had built. Their weapons could tear through armor like paper. Many had believed Earth and her colonies would fall. But humanity did not give up. They fought with everything they had, using courage and creativity to hold the line. Aaron had been there, standing among those who refused to surrender. The scar was the price he paid in that war. It was a reminder of fear, pain, and survival. Now he was no longer a soldier at war. He was part of a peace mission sent to meet the Vera, a species unknown to humans until only recently. The Vera had sent a message across the stars, not of war, but of diplomacy. They were ruled by a queen, and she had invited humans to her world to speak of alliance. Aaron had been chosen as one of the envoys. It surprised him, because he was not a leader or a politician. He had wondered why they picked him, but the council had said that his history mattered. The Vera respected those who had lived through hardship, and Aaron carried proof of that hardship with him every day. The ship glided closer to the alien planet. From space, the world of the Vera looked like a shining pearl, wrapped in clouds that swirled like white rivers. The oceans reflected the sun with a deep blue glow, and green continents stretched in elegant shapes across the surface. It was a world both strange and beautiful. The humans on board the ship stared through the glass windows in silence, each feeling the weight of the moment. For the first time, humanity would step on this world not as intruders, but as guests. Aaron's companion, navigator named Mara, broke the silence. She looked at him with curious eyes. "You seem lost in thought," she said softly. Aaron gave a small smile. "I am thinking about what waits for us down there. We know so little about the Vera. I wonder how they will see us." Mara nodded. "We will learn together. But I think they will see more in you than in any of us. The council would not have chosen you otherwise." Aaron did not reply. He touched his chest again where the scar lay. He had not asked for this mark, but it had been written into him by fire and steel. If the Vera could see meaning in such things, then perhaps his presence had value beyond his understanding. The ship entered the atmosphere, shaking gently as it cut through layers of cloud. Heat flared across the hull, but soon the view cleared to show vast landscapes below. Aaron saw silver towers that rose like spires into the sky. The cities of the Vera were not square and rigid like human cities, but curved like flowing rivers turned to stone. They shone with a pale light, almost alive, as if grown rather than built. Between the cities stretched wide plains, forests with tall trees that glimmered in shades of blue and green, and rivers that shimmered like crystal veins. The humans were guided to a landing platform near the capital city. As the ship settled down, Aaron felt his heart beat faster. He had walked on battlefields before, but this was something else. He was about to walk into the heart of another civilization, not as a fighter, but as a messenger of peace. He wondered which path was harder. The doors opened, and the air of the Vera world rushed in. It was warm, carrying a scent like flowers mixed with rain. Aaron stepped outside with the other envoys. He saw figures waiting for them at the base of the platform. The Vera stood tall, taller than most humans, with slender forms wrapped in garments that shimmered like liquid metal. Their skin glowed faintly with soft colors, some blue, some silver, some golden. Their eyes were large and bright, filled with intelligence. They did not carry weapons. Instead, they stood in silence, watching the humans with calm patience. One of the Vera stepped forward. His voice was deep and smooth, yet clear enough for the humans to understand through the translators they carried. "Welcome to our world. The Queen awaits your presence." The humans bowed slightly. and the envoy leader spoke polite words of gratitude. Aaron followed, his gaze drawn toward the towering palace that rose in the distance. It was not built of stone or metal alone, but seemed alive, like a giant tree whose branches spread into the sky, glowing faintly with inner light. That was where the queen waited. Aaron's scar seemed to burn faintly under his uniform, as if it knew that something important was about to happen. The walk to the palace was long but filled with wonder. The humans passed through gardens where plants shifted their colors like gentle waves. Creatures with soft wings hovered in the air like drifting lights. The Vera who guided them spoke little, but their presence was calm, as if they were guardians of harmony rather than keepers of power. Aaron's thoughts grew heavier with each step. He wondered why he had been brought here. Would the queen truly notice him among the others? Would she see the scar and understand what it meant? When they reached the palace, great doors opened silently, revealing a vast hall bathed in silver light. At the far end stood a throne not made of gold or stone, but of living branches woven together, glowing softly as if alive. And upon it sat the queen of the Vera. She rose as the humans entered. She was taller than the others, her form graceful and strong. Her skin carried the soft glow of many colors at once, shifting like the dawn sky. Her eyes were deep, ancient yet filled with curiosity. She walked forward with slow, steady steps, her gaze moving across the group until it paused on Aaron. He felt a chill rush through him as her eyes seemed to look beyond his uniform, beyond his body, into the truth of who he was. The envoy leader began to speak, offering formal words of greeting. The queen listened politely, but her eyes did not leave Aaron. At last, when the words ended, she stepped closer. The hall grew silent. Every sound faded except the echo of her footsteps. She stopped before Aaron. Her gaze lowered slightly. She spoke in a soft voice. "You carry a mark upon you." Aaron froze, uncertain how to answer. Slowly, he placed his hand over his chest. "It is a scar," he said. "From a battle long ago." The queen tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Scars are stories written upon the flesh. They tell us who we are. I see that you have endured." Aaron swallowed, unsure what else to say. He felt the weight of her words press into him. The queen's eyes lingered on him for another moment. Then she turned back to the hall. "Let the talks begin," she declared. The envoys moved forward. But Aaron stood in silence, his heart beating fast. The queen had noticed him not as a soldier among many, not as a simple envoy, but as one who carried a story written in flesh and blood. He did not yet know what it meant, but he felt the beginning of something greater than peace. Something that would bind humanity and the Vera in a way no treaty alone could. And it had started with a scar. Part 2. The queen's interest. The hall was still as the queen's words echoed softly. The envoys held their breath, for it was not common for alien royalty to single out one among a delegation. Aaron felt the weight of every gaze, both human and Vera, pressing upon him. He wanted to step back, to disappear into the crowd. But the queen's eyes held him still. Her words were simple, yet they carried meaning deeper than he could understand in that moment. Scars are stories written upon the flesh. They tell us who we are. I see that you have endured. She looked into his eyes for a long breath, then turned back toward her throne. The silence broke, and the formal talks began. The envoy leader stepped forward, presenting the intentions of humanity, peace, trade, knowledge shared between worlds. The Vera Council sat along the sides of the hall, tall figures cloaked in glowing garments, their eyes bright and unblinking as they listened. Aaron remained among the envoys, silent, his heart still racing. He tried to focus on the words spoken around him, but his thoughts returned to the queen's gaze. Why had she looked at him so intently? Why had she spoken of his scar in front of all? To the Vera, words seemed chosen with great care, never wasted. If she had spoken, it must have been with purpose. Hours passed as discussions continued. The topics ranged from star maps to resource exchange, from mutual defense to cultural exchange. The Vera listened with interest, but their faces were calm and unreadable. Finally, the queen raised her hand, and silence fell at once. "The talks will continue tomorrow," she declared. But tonight our guests will rest within our palace. Let them see our halls and know that they are safe among us." Her words were final, and the council bowed their heads. The humans, though uncertain, felt relief. They had feared rejection, but so far no wall had been placed before them. Guides led them through glowing corridors, each one lined with patterns that shifted like water upon glass. The palace was alive with light, every surface humming faintly with energy. Aaron followed in silence, his thoughts heavy. When they reached the chambers prepared for them, Mira touched his arm lightly. "You look uneasy," she said. Aaron nodded. "She spoke to me. Out of all of us, she chose me. I do not know why." "Perhaps she sees something the rest of us cannot," Mira said with a gentle smile. "Do not fear her interest. It may be the reason we were invited here at all." That night, Aaron lay awake on the soft surface of the alien bed. His hand rested again on his chest where the scar lay. He remembered the battle, the fire that had nearly ended him, the pain that had shaped him. Why would the Queen of the Vera care about such a thing? Was it pity, or was it something else? Sleep finally came to him, though filled with restless dreams of glowing eyes and whispered words. The next day, the envoys were led once more into the great hall. This time, the Queen did not sit upon her throne. She waited near the doors as if she had been expecting them. Her gaze swept across the group, then again settled upon Aaron. "You," she said, her voice soft yet commanding. "Walk with me." The envoy leader hesitated. "Your Majesty, he is one of us." But the Queen raised her hand, and silence fell. "Walk with me," she repeated. Aaron felt every eye upon him, but he stepped forward. His legs felt heavy, but he moved until he stood beside her. Without another word, she turned and began to walk through a side passage, and he followed. The doors closed behind them, leaving the council and the envoys to wait. They walked through halls that curved like rivers, lit by strands of silver light that ran through the walls. The Queen said nothing at first, and Aaron did not dare speak. Finally, she stopped in a quiet chamber filled with a faint glow. A pool of water lay at the center, its surface shimmering as if it held the stars themselves. The Queen turned to him. "You are not like the others." Aaron swallowed. "I am no leader. I am no speaker. I was chosen because of my past." "Your past is why you matter," the Queen said. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "We of the Vera respect endurance. We honor those who carry their survival upon their skin. Many races hide their scars, but you carry yours openly, and it speaks of your kind." Her gaze lowered, and before Aaron could react, she reached out her hand. With a touch lighter than air, her fingers brushed the place where the scar lay beneath his uniform. The fabric shimmered under her touch as if responding to her presence. Aaron froze. The memory of the wound burned in his mind, but her touch did not bring pain. It brought a strange calm, as if she could see the truth of the scar without judgment. "This," she whispered, "is where your heart belongs." Her words were soft, almost meant for herself alone. Yet they struck Aaron deeper than any weapon. He stood still, unable to speak, his breath caught in his chest. The Queen stepped back, her expression unreadable. "Come," she said after a moment. "The council will wonder, but remember, human, your scar is not weakness. It is proof. Do not forget that." She turned and led him back toward the great hall. Aaron followed in silence, his thoughts a storm. What had she meant by her words? Why had she touched his scar? Was it only curiosity, or did it hold a meaning greater than he understood? When they returned, the council resumed their talks as if nothing had happened. But Aaron felt changed. He sat among the envoys, yet his mind was far away, replaying the Queen's whisper again and again. "That was where my heart belongs." For the first time since the war, Aaron felt that his scar was no longer just a mark of pain. It was something else, something the Queen of another world had seen and chosen to name. And deep within him, though he could not yet explain it, he felt that this was only the beginning of a story greater than himself. Part 3. A silent exchange. The council chambers echoed with careful voices as talks resumed. Human envoys presented plans for shared navigation routes, scientific cooperation, and peaceful expansion. The Vera counselors listened without interruption, their large, luminous eyes fixed on each speaker. Yet Aaron felt apart from the flow of words. The queen's whisper from the day before lingered in his thoughts, stirring questions he could not answer. He sat among his companions but heard little. His mind replayed the touch of her hand, the strange calm that followed, and the phrase that would not leave him. "That is where your heart belongs." Why had she said it? Did she mean his heart belonged to the wound itself, or to something greater? As the day went on, the council requested a pause. Food was offered in tall crystal bowls, fruits that glowed faintly and drinks that shimmered with silver hues. The envoys ate with caution, while Aaron barely touched his share. His thoughts were heavier than hunger. Later, when the talks ended for the day, the queen approached the humans once more. She spoke formally, thanking them for their patience. Then her gaze turned toward Aaron. "Remain," she said quietly. "Walk with me again." The other envoys exchanged glances. Some showed surprise, others unease, but none dared object. Aaron rose slowly, his steps steady, though his heart quickened. He followed the queen as she led him away from the chamber. Into quieter passages of the palace, they walked until the walls no longer glowed with silver light, but with soft blue, as if the palace itself changed mood deeper within. The queen moved with grace, her presence calm yet commanding. She said nothing for a long time, letting silence stretch between them. Aaron did not speak either, for he felt words would only disturb what was unfolding. At last, she stopped before a wide balcony that opened to the alien sky. Twin moons hung above, one pale white, the other a soft green. The city below shimmered with flowing lights that curved along its spires like rivers of fireflies. Beyond the horizon, forests of tall, crystalline trees gleamed faintly under the moon's glow. The queen turned to Aaron. "Do you know why I speak to you?" Aaron hesitated. "No, my queen, I am no leader. I am no scholar. I am only a soldier who survived." Her eyes softened. "And that is why you matter. Your people speak of alliances and trade, but they send a soldier with scars to sit among them. That tells me who you are as a race. It tells me that survival is at the heart of your kind." Aaron lowered his gaze. "I did not choose this scar. It was forced upon me." She stepped closer, her voice quiet. "No one chooses scars, yet those who carry them with strength turn them into something greater. You may think this mark is yours alone, but I see it as a mirror of all your people. Humanity fights, falls, rises again. You endure." Her hand lifted again, hovering close to his chest. This time, she did not touch. Yet the memory of her touch returned to him. "Among the Vira," she continued, "scars are rare. We heal swiftly, leaving little trace. We forget wounds too easily. But when I look at you, I see that scars are not weakness. They are memory given form. They are truth carved into life." Aaron raised his eyes to hers. "Why tell me this?" "Because your presence here is more than diplomacy," she said. "It is a lesson. My council debates numbers and treaties, but I see that humanity brings something they cannot measure. You bring proof that even when broken, you can still stand. That truth will shape the bond between our people more than any written agreement." Aaron's breath caught in his throat. He felt the weight of her words pressing into his very being. "I do not know if I can bear such meaning," he admitted. "I am only one man." The queen's gaze softened further, almost kind. "And yet one man can hold a truth for all. Do not think lightly of that." They stood in silence as the moons cast light across the balcony. Aaron felt both small and immense, as though his scar connected him not only to his past, but to something vast and unseen. After a time, the queen spoke again, her tone thoughtful. "Tomorrow, you will walk with me beyond the city. There is something I wish you to see. Perhaps then you will understand why your scar matters, not only to you, but to me, and to the bond we may yet form between our worlds. I will follow, my queen." She gave a faint smile, rare and fleeting, before turning back toward the halls. "Rest now. Tomorrow, the story of scars will continue." As Aaron returned to his chamber, Mara waited for him with questions in her eyes. He gave few answers, for he himself understood little. But in his chest, the scar seemed alive, no longer just a wound but a voice, whispering of purpose. He lay awake that night, knowing that the next day would draw him deeper into a path he had never chosen, yet one he could not turn away from. The moons of the Vera world drifted across the sky, and Aaron wondered what story was about to be written upon him next. Part 4. The weight of meaning. The morning sky of the Vera world was painted with soft colors, the rising sun scattering gold across the clouds. Aaron stood near the balcony of his chamber, staring at the twin moons fading slowly into the daylight. His thoughts were restless. The queen had asked him to walk with her beyond the city, and though she had spoken with calm certainty, her words carried weight he did not yet understand. He dressed in simple garments provided by the Vera attendants. They shimmered faintly, light and comfortable. Unlike the heavy uniforms of Earth, he touched his chest once again, where his scar rested hidden beneath the cloth. It had never left him in peace, but today it seemed to beat with his heart, as if it knew something awaited. Mara entered quietly. She had been assigned to watch over the envoys, but her concern often turned toward Aaron in particular. "You are being called again," she said softly. Aaron nodded. "The queen wishes me to walk with her." Mara hesitated before speaking further. "Be careful, Aaron. She is not like us. Her eyes see further than ours, and her words may bind more than they reveal." Aaron gave a faint smile. "I know, but I cannot turn away. Whatever she wants me to see, it must matter." Soon, attendants led him through the palace halls. The queen waited at the great gates, wearing a robe that glowed like dawn itself. When Aaron approached, she gave him a simple nod, then turned to the open road. Without guards or counselors, she began to walk, and Aaron followed. The path stretched beyond the shining city into the open plains. Strange flowers grew along the fields, their petals moving gently as though alive with breath. The air was fresh and carried the scent of rain. The silence between them was not empty but heavy, filled with unspoken thoughts. At last the queen spoke. "Tell me, Aaron, of Earth. When you were wounded, what did you feel?" Aaron hesitated. No one had asked him this so directly before. He remembered fire, blood, the sharp edge of fear. "I felt I would die," he said slowly. "I felt pain so deep that I wished for the end. But I also felt anger, and I refused to fall. I told myself I would rise again, even if all around me was lost." The queen nodded, her eyes calm. "That is the heart of your kind. Not perfection, not strength alone, but defiance against the end. That is why your scar holds meaning." They walked further until the plains opened into a wide valley. At its center stood a structure unlike anything Aaron had seen before. It was not a palace, nor a temple, but something older, carved from stone that shimmered with ancient light. Tall pillars rose toward the sky, each one marked with symbols that glowed faintly as they approached. The queen's voice softened. "This is the Hall of Marks. Few among my people come here now. It is a place of remembrance. Long ago, before our healing grew strong, the Vera carried scars, as you do. They left marks of battles, of sacrifice, of loss. These pillars hold the names and shapes of those scars etched in memory. But as time passed, we learned to erase such wounds. Now my people forget. They look upon smooth skin and believe it is purity. But I say, it is emptiness. Without scars, we forget who we were." She led Aaron into the hall. The air shimmered with quiet energy. The pillars glowed brighter as they walked between them. Etched upon the stone were shapes of old wounds, lines and patterns carved deep. Each one carried a story, though silent. The queen stopped before one tall pillar. Her hand rested gently upon the mark carved into its surface. "This belonged to my ancestor," she said. She bore a scar across her face, given by a war that nearly destroyed us. She lived with it until her final breath. To her, it was not shame, but pride. Yet now, only these stones remember. Aaron touched the pillar lightly. The stone was cool, yet he felt warmth stir within him. "Why show me this?" he asked. The queen turned her gaze to him. Because you remind me of what we have lost. You carry upon your body what we erased from ours. You prove that scars are not weakness. They are truth. When I touched your scar, I felt not only your survival, but the survival of your people. That is why I whispered that it is where your heart belongs. Your scar is not the end of you. It is the beginning of what you are. Aaron stood silent, his chest rising with heavy breath. Her words pressed into him like the weight of the stars. He looked around at the glowing pillars, at the silent hall filled with forgotten stories. He realized then that his scar was not only his own. It was a voice that spoke across species, across time. The queen walked further, and he followed. They stopped before the largest pillar at the center of the hall. Unlike the others, its mark was unfinished. A deep cut that glowed, but did not form a clear shape. This, she said, is the mark of the future. It is left open for the stories yet to be written. I believe your scar belongs here, not in stone, but in meaning. The bond between our peoples will be shaped not by smooth treaties, but by scars carried together. Humanity has endured. The Vera must remember how to endure. Together, we can remind the stars what it means to survive. Aaron felt his throat tighten. I do not know if I am strong enough to carry such a weight. The queen's eyes softened, almost kind. Strength is not the absence of doubt. It is walking forward despite it. You are already strong, Aaron, because you endure. They stood together in silence, the hall glowing around them. For a moment, Aaron felt as if the scar upon his chest burned with light, connecting him to the pillars, to the queen, to the forgotten past of her people. He did not know if it was real or only his heart, but the feeling was clear. When they left the hall, the sun was setting. The sky burned with colors of fire and gold, and the plains shimmered beneath the fading light. The queen stopped at the edge of the valley, looking toward the horizon. Tomorrow, she said, the council will decide the fate of our bond with your people. They will weigh trade, knowledge, and strength. But I will speak of scars. I will speak of the truth I have seen in you. Whether they accept it or not, I will not forget what you carry. Aaron bowed his head, his voice quiet. If my scar can serve as a bridge, then let it. I never thought it held such meaning, but if it combined our worlds, I will carry it with pride. The queen looked at him with eyes that held both wisdom and mystery. Then you are ready, Aaron. Ready to stand not only as a soldier of Earth, but as a witness for all of humanity. They walked back toward the city in silence, the stars rising slowly above them. Aaron's heart was heavy yet steady. The scar no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a key, one that unlocked doors he had never imagined, and though he did not yet know the shape of the future, he knew that the queen's words would remain with him forever. Scars were not endings. They were beginnings. And his story was far from finished. Part 5. Humanity's Legacy. The morning air was crisp and filled with the scent of distant forests. Aaron stood on the balcony of the palace, gazing at the Vera city stretching below. The towers shimmered softly in the early light, their curves catching the sun like flowing water. Today would mark the conclusion of the mission, the final day of talks between humans and the Vera Council. Aaron's chest felt heavier than usual, not from fear, but from the weight of what he carried. His scar pulsed faintly beneath his uniform, as if reminding him of the journey that had brought him here. The humans were escorted into the council chamber once more. The room was filled with the Vera elders, their faces calm, their glowing eyes fixed on the human delegation. At the center, the queen rose from her seat. Her presence filled the chamber, commanding attention without force. She moved slowly, deliberately, until she stopped before Aaron. Today, she said, her voice echoing with authority and quiet strength, I will speak of what I have seen. I will speak of truth that cannot be measured by numbers nor weighed in trade. The chamber was silent. Every eye, both Vera and human, was upon them. I have walked with a human, she continued, one who carries the marks of survival upon his flesh. His name is Aaron. His people call him a soldier. I call him proof. Aaron felt a flush of heat rise to his face. He had never been praised by his own leaders in this way. To hear it from an alien queen made his chest tighten. The Vira are strong, swift, and heal easily. We forget pain, and we erase it from our bodies and our minds. But the humans, they remember. They carry their wounds openly, and in their endurance, they show something greater than strength alone. They show heart. They show the will to endure when all odds are against them. The council shifted slightly, a murmur of surprise passing through them. Some glanced at Aaron, then back to the queen as though unsure how to respond. The queen raised her hand, and silence returned. "Look upon his chest," she said. "Not at the flesh, but at the story it tells. Scars are not shame. They are honor. They are proof of survival, proof of courage, proof of humanity itself." Aaron's breath caught. The chamber seemed to grow warmer, as if her words had changed the air itself. He glanced at his companions, who were equally stunned. They had come expecting negotiations over trade, technology, and maps. They had not expected a declaration of respect that carried such depth. The queen stepped closer to him, her eyes soft, yet unwavering. "Your people are young in the stars, but they are wise in ways that cannot be taught. They fight, they fall, and they rise again. Their scars are evidence that they do not yield to the end. That is a quality I wish my people to remember, for it is rare and precious in the universe." She turned to the council. "I have seen the truth in humanity. It is not measured by their technology, nor by the size of their fleets, nor by the wealth they bring. It is measured by their heart and by their courage and survival." For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then one of the elders, a tall figure with silver skin and eyes like molten gold, spoke. "And you believe they can be trusted?" The queen's gaze returned to Aaron. "They are not perfect, and they do not claim to be, but they endure. And endurance in the universe is worth more than perfection. Yes, they can be trusted, for their scars tell the story of truth." Aaron felt the weight of her words settle upon him like a mantle. His scar, once only a mark of pain, now felt like a bridge, linking humanity to a species whose ways he had only begun to understand. The council deliberated briefly, their voices low and respectful. When they finally returned, the decision was clear. Trade agreements would be made, shared research allowed, and borders respected. But more than that. The Queen's declaration had shifted the hearts of the Vira. Where there had been caution, there was now admiration. Where there had been uncertainty, there was recognition. Humanity was not merely another species to negotiate with. They were a people whose spirit demanded respect. After the council adjourned, Aaron and the other envoys were led through the palace gardens. The twin moons still lingered faintly in the sky, casting a soft glow upon the petals of alien flowers. The air smelled of sweet rain and fresh growth. Aaron walked beside the queen once more, his steps steady, his mind still processing the enormity of the day. "You have carried not only your story," she said quietly, "but the story of your people. Never forget the weight you bear, for it is precious. Your scars are more than marks. They are proof that your kind belongs among the stars." Aaron nodded. "I will not forget. I never imagined my past could mean something to another species. But now I understand. Scars are not endings. They are proof of life, proof of heart." The queen placed a gentle hand upon his shoulder. It was light, almost ceremonial, yet full of meaning. "Go now, Aaron. Return to your world. Carry the story of what you have seen here. Let your people know that endurance is worth recognition and that their hearts are seen across the stars." Aaron felt a surge of emotion. He had survived wars, battles, and loss, but never had he felt so honored. The queen's words were not only for him, they were for every human who had ever fought and endured. For the first time, he saw his scar not as a reminder of pain, but as a symbol of humanity's place in the universe. When the humans departed the palace, the Vera city shimmered in farewell. The people lined the streets, their eyes glowing softly with curiosity and respect. Many had heard of the queen's words, and whispers spread among the citizens. Humanity's name was carried in awe, not for conquest or power, but for the courage to endure. Aaron stood at the ship's doorway. looking back at the world that had changed his perspective forever. Mara stood beside him, her eyes reflecting pride and wonder. "You changed more than their counsel," she said. "You changed their hearts." Aaron smiled faintly. Perhaps it was not only me. Perhaps it was humanity itself, speaking through a scar that refused to be ignored. As the ship rose into the sky, leaving the glowing city and the twin moons behind, Aaron felt a lightness in his chest. His scar no longer a burden. It was a story of survival, courage, and recognition. The Queen's words had placed humanity among the stars, not by fleets or technology, but by heart. He closed his eyes and remembered her whisper. Gentle yet strong, still vivid in his mind, "That is where your heart belongs." And he understood fully now. His heart, like his scar, was not only his own. It belonged to the story of humanity, to a bond forged across worlds, and to the proof that life, endurance, and courage are honored even among the stars. Humanity had earned its place, not through perfection, but through scars that spoke of survival. And in that truth, Aaron felt the weight of legacy, not as a burden, but as a gift that would carry forward into every world they touched. The stars stretched before him, vast and unending, yet no longer intimidating. They were filled with possibilities, with allies, with recognition. Humanity's story had begun anew, written not in conquest, but in courage, endurance, and heart. Aaron knew the journey was far from over, but for the first time, he felt the full meaning of his scar. And the place where his heart and the heart of humanity truly belonged